I want to apologize to y'all up front. I might be in a hurry on this video because I got to go feed my dogs. I am a real person. I'm not a AI. I am a real man. So I got to feed my dogs and they want to eat. I got 5 Siberian Huskies. So I apologize, y'all, if it seemed like I'm kind of rushing on this video. But I need to do it because it's on my mind. I like to do things in terms of dating and mating topics when they come to me because sometimes, life happens. And I seen this video where people were talking about hag-maxxing and cougar maxing, granny maxing, all this stuff, and it reminded me of a panel that I went on. I went on this one panel where guys were talking about dating and mating and the types of women they date, and one guy was talking about he prefers to date women who are 27 and older. He said I'm dead serious. This man, it shocked the hell out of me because we were talking about our preferences, and I said, well, personally, me, I like 18 and 25. I'm in my 40s, and I still date women 18 and 25. I've never dated a woman over the age of, I would say probably, yeah, I would say 25 because all the girls that I met, they were at least under the 25. Then they got to the age of 26, 27. I never dated a girl seriously over the age of 25. I've had a few hookups. I had one hookup with a 31-year-old, one with a 29-year-old, and I've probably hooked up with maybe 3 or 4 older women out of necessity when I was in the military, quote unquote, pay for play. And I'm not even ashamed to say it. I mean, it was all I can get at the time. When you ain't got a lot of time, you press for time, you just take whatever you can get. So I'm not going to even lie on my dick on that one. I have, but, overall, my entire life, I probably hooked up with maybe, I would estimate 10 women at best, maybe 10 or less. I would say less. So let's say between 7 to 10 women who are over the age of 25. I just don't go for them. It's either going to be out of necessity, meaning that's all I can get at the moment, desperation, right? And I'm not going to lie, desperation. Or that's all that was available to me, meaning that's it. That's all you're seeing around, old women. Or it might have been something just on a fly. Like they say, sometimes you walk outside and pussy will fall in your lap. I had that happen to me one time. I did. It was a woman who was in her 30s, and I talked about this. She was in her 30s, and I met her at the movie theater. I didn't even plan it, and pussy just fell out the sky. I don't know. I never even knew her name. I fucked her one good time and never seen her again. That was it. Don't even know her to this day. But the bottom line is this is that when you start talking about, I was talking to them on this panel, and the guy was talking about his preference for older women. And when I told him my preference for younger women, he just was surprised. He was like, I can't believe you as a 40-something-year-old man, you only want women 18 to 25. What's up with that? What's the deal with that? And I just told him, I said, well, let me tell you something, man. What you're doing is called hag maxing. And hag maxing is what old women, which is 27 or older, that's what older women are. It's considered to be 27 and older. It's considered to be an old woman. It is what it is in terms of biology, procreation. In the modeling industry, by the time you get to be age 21, I think. Shout out to an old model girlfriend I used to have named Aubrey. She was 21 and she was old. She told me as a model, she was a real Beverly Hills runaway model. A walking piece of meat. That's what she called it. She said, I'm a walking piece of meat. 21 is old for them. She started modeling when she was, I think she said 16. I didn't meet her until she was, what, 20, 21? So I met her in a biology class. True story. And she was getting her bachelor degree because she's like, I'm old. I'm an old model now. And I was like, damn, you're only 21. She was like, yeah, but in terms of modeling, I'm old. They usually get them from 16 to about 19 or 20, 21. That's it. She's like, that's it. You say you're not going to find any major runway models being over the age of 21. It's very rare. They might have superior genetics, but by the time they get to be about 21, they're out of there. So when I told him that, and I said, essentially what you're doing, and I told him this, I said, I don't really think that your preference is older women. I think you have convinced yourself to choose older women because you are a desperate man. And he got quiet. Everybody got quiet. This is a panel of all men, by the way. And I told him, I said, and that's basically what's going on. Hag maxing is old women, 27 and older, plus desperate men. And for both sides, something is better than nothing. Something is better than nothing. I just told y'all. I've only been with, I would estimate high seven, low, I mean, high 10, low seven, because I don't really remember all the women I slept with, to be honest with you. But I've never slept with that many older women. I just haven't. They're not my preference. So I'm even saying it to myself. When I did sleep with older women who were 27 over, it was desperation. It was not my first preference. It was like, okay, last call, she's available, let's do it. Or when I was in the military, hey, there ain't no ones available. The house is full. Okay, I'll take her. Get it over with. See what I'm saying? Or I just walk outside, and I had that happen. A 30-something-year-old woman, I walked outside and pussy just is literally like it fell out the sky. I never seen her again. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna sit up here and tell you I haven't been a desperate man. Yes, when I slept with those older women, I was a desperate man. At that moment, I was desperate, or it caught me off guard, or that's all I can get. So I told him, I said, that's what these men are doing. I've been there, done that. They are hag maxing because that's all they can get. They're desperate. And for women, that's what they're doing too. That's all they can get. Specifically the women who are older dating younger men. All right. So for the women who are dating younger men, that's all they can get. That's it. Why? Because the men their age most likely don't want them. You don't see very many 30 plus year old men saying, I want a 30 something year old woman. Men don't do that. What do women always complain about? Men going younger. That's all they talk about. Why do men go after younger women? It's our biological programming, period. That's all it is. And even now, to this day, myself, the last girl I went out to the club with, she had to be at least 21, no older than that. And she chose me. And I'm in my 40s. 21-year-old black girl, true story, in San Diego. Right down there in the Gaslamp district. I got chosen by a 21-year-old black girl. Still getting, that's what I attract. That's what I go for. Not just black, but in terms of age, because I also got chosen by a white girl down there as well. So that's what this is all about. It's just desperate men and women trying to make the best deal they can on our unregulated system. So there's no rules and regulations. If we had rules and regulations, you wouldn't have all these 40-year-old, 30-year-old women, hell, 27 and older year old women running around here single. They'll be married. They'll be married with children. That's the beauty of the regulated system. Do you get it? Because I had to explain to them my concept of my book, and they all got it. And I say that's what's going on. So when I told this guy that, he said, "Man, that makes a lot of sense. I never thought about it like that." I say that's all it is. You're only saying you prefer older women because that's all you're desperate, and that's the easiest thing to get. That's all it is. It's no different than a lion when a lion is hungry and they're hunting. Lions prefer what? Fresh kills. They prefer to kill a game animal, a big bull or a big heifer on the plain. I mean, that's good eating. That could be up to what, like 600-700 pounds worth of meat. That's a good meal that'll last them for what? A good week in their stomach? See what I'm saying? But hell, lions are lions and they're opportunistic, which means what? If they can get a small kill or they can scavenge, they're going to scavenge. That's it. But their preference is to get a fresh kill. That's the top of the line for them. USDA, top of the line beef. See, and I saying the problem is we got a lot of men that are making these choices, right? Thinking that that's their real preference, but it's not. They're only making that choice out of desperation. Either they're too lazy or they haven't done the work on themselves so they can go out and attract a younger woman in her prime. It is what it is. And that's all it does. And I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of men want to be lazy. It is what it is. A lot of men get to a certain point in life where they say, fuck it. Especially in our unregulated system, a lot of men are saying fuck it. And I don't agree with that. I don't. But at the same time, what can I do? I can't force them to want to date. I've already talked about that. Look at my video where I say, ladies, you let men off the hook. I can't force the men to come back. I can't. I don't have no power to do so. Nobody do. Why? Because there's no rules and regulations. There are no rules and regulations. Does everybody get that? So for these women who are saying, well, because I'm hearing women complain, all I can get is a younger man, and yeah, that's great for the bed, but it ain't great for nothing else. I don't line up with a younger man. He's seeing me as an old mother, an old grandmother. I don't want to be seen as that. Well, that's the best you gonna get. When you bring 30 or 27 and older to the dating market, you gonna get what you gonna get. That's it. And most younger men, if they're not putting in the work and they're not quote unquote applying themselves, or they're terrified of rejection. A lot of men are. It is what it is. And some men are getting rejected even when they get accepted. We already talked about that, where women are rejecting men that they are literally attracted to, but they want to reject him just to reject him so they can brag to their girlfriends about how much validation and value they have. I mean, that's the sickness of the system. You go online, think I'm lying, look up the women saying, why did I reject him? I liked him. Woman literally is trying to reason out her social programming. She's hearing 24/7 reject men, reject men, reject men. Then she does it in real life, and then she goes online crying about why she rejected a man that she genuinely was attracted to. This is brainwashing. That's what's going on. Yes, MK Ultra stuff, and I don't get into the conspiracy stuff, but I do understand that yes, if you tell women or men or anybody over and over and over and over something, you can subconsciously put it into their brain. That's what they're doing to the women on TikTok. Be alone, be single. You don't need a man. Look for all these red flags. Just keep telling them every day. Stay away from men. Stay away from men. Stay away from men. Reject men. Reject men. Reject men. Men are evil. Men are evil. Men are evil. And then in real life, when they see a guy that they generally are attracted to, there you go. I rejected him. And why did I've seen multiple videos like that. So there's a whole bunch of things going on. So with the young men, unfortunately for Gen Z, a lot of them are saying, screw it, I'll just go whatever the easiest thing I can get. And the easiest thing you can get is most likely going to be a woman 27 and older. That's easy pickings. That's like a lion looking at the herd trying to weed out what? The weak. The weak, the sick, and the old. That's it. That's what lions do. They hit the herd. That's a special forces tactic. Boom. Throw a flashbang grenade. See what happens. See when they scatter. Try to isolate the strong targets from the weak targets. That's special forces mount training, urban training 101. That's what these young men are doing. Well, I'm going to go into a crowd of women. Let me see what's the easiest target. Oh, that little old 27-year-old older woman with wrinkles who's still in the club, who shouldn't be in the club, by the way. I'm going to go after her. Yeah, I know she probably going to be divorced or maybe still married. She probably going to have a few kids. We know the body count is on fleek. But why not? I'm desperate. I don't feel like applying myself. And I'm tired of all the games that women are playing. Why not go with the old woman? Why don't I do some hag-maxxing? That's what's going on. But it don't last. It doesn't go for the long term. Why? Because y'all unequally yoked. He has more value in the dating market than she. She doesn't have any. What can she offer this man? Not too much. Sure, maybe one or two of them can pop a baby out of a 27-year-old body, but most of them are not. That's what's going on now. Birth control making a lot of women sterile. Look that up. IVS has a high failure rate, and we already know about the foolishness of egg freezing. So the bottom line is, before I go feed my dog, that's what this Hag-maxxing. It's just like Cougar. Remember they were pushing that the Cougar stuff, and it had they were all they're doing is promoting older women to desperate men and making desperate women feel good about their low value in the dating market. That's all it is. Most of those women, when the dick comes out of them and they done had the thrills and the thrill, they say, shit, why do I still feel like I'm not getting what I really want? Because they're not going to get what they want. The men that they want, which is around the same age as them or maybe 10 years older. So let's use the example. Let's say a 50-year-old man. Most women at 30 and older going to want that 50-year-old man. Will that 50-year-old man want them? Absolutely not. He's on the top of his game. If he's taking care of his body, he ain't got no wives he running from, and if his children are grown or he don't have children, that man is on top of his game. Why would that man who's now going into the peak of his life, meaning he's on top of the mountain, men start making the most amount of money when they hit age 40, 45 and older, till they die. 45 till they die. That's when that man has it all. He has the knowledge, he has the body if he's taking care of his body, and he has the wisdom to where he can date and marry whoever he wants. So why would he choose a woman that's 30 and older? Why would he choose a woman who's a single mother? Why would he choose a woman who got kids from God knows how many men? A woman that's divorced. A woman that's obese. Look at the obesity rate in America. Do I even need to talk about that? Why would he choose these so-called hags, these so-called cougars, so-called spinsters? Why would he do that? That no one's saying that, but that's essentially what's going on. He's on top of his game and he's not desperate. See? So the men who brag about 30 and older women, they're desperate men. That's all they can get. And the women are desperate, so they'll take whatever man that shows up. But it doesn't work out for neither one of them. It just doesn't, because that man who's desperate, once he starts applying himself, he's going to look over to his left and going to say, shit, I got an old woman on my arm. Damn, I got somebody looking like my mama or my grandma. I don't want to be seen with that. Boom, that's when it breaks up. And the same thing goes for her. She laying over, look to the right. I got someone's son up in here. One day he's going to wake up and not want me. Let me go ahead and break it off now. The thrill is gone. And now she's trying to do what? Shame the men that she want to choose her. It doesn't work like that anymore. It's just the way it goes. And no matter how many times Hollywood tries to perpetuate hag-maxxing or cougar-maxxing as the equivalent of what men are doing, it's not even close. We make movies about 50-year-old men and older with 20-something-year-old women. Those movies make millions of dollars all over the world. We celebrate that stuff. Very rarely do you see somebody propping up an old woman with a young man. No matter how much they try, it ain't working. So that's all it is, y'all. I'm not gonna be too long on this. I gotta feed my dogs. But when someone and let me say this before I end it. The word maxing is being applied to everything. Have you noticed that? Hag maxing, granny maxing, cougar maxing, looks maxing, geo maxing. If you didn't know this, the word maxing, that word comes out of incel space. That's true. That comes directly out of the incels. Shout out to the incels. I'm going to give them credit for that. So if anybody take that maxing and make that as the suffix of the root word, English, hag is the root, maxing is the suffix. You got prefix and suffix. My God, we're talking about English. Anytime somebody put the word maxing on something, it's cope. That's all it is. It's cope. It's them trying to make their situation better than what it is. That's what the incels do. I'm gonna looks max. See what I'm saying? I think I'm ugly. I'm gonna make myself look better. There's nothing wrong with self-improvement, but looks maxing, have you seen what those guys are doing? They're getting surgeries. They're breaking their legs, breaking their cheekbone. This is insane, but it's gonna happen. Why? There's no rules and regulations. You get it? There is none. So men are gonna do what they gotta do to survive. Same thing with women. So this hag maxing, that's pretty much what they can get. That's easy picking, like a lion looking at a herd of bulls and heifers. Startle the herd, see where the weak. Let me get the weak, the sick, and the old. Let me get the weak bull, the sick bull, and the old bulls and heifers. That is. Let me get them. That's easy pickings. See? This is no different, y'all. So I'm gonna end it on this. When I told them all that on the panel, the guy, he told me, he said, Alpha, I never heard no one say that I'm only making that choice because that's all I can get. I say, yeah, and I say, if you think I'm lying, if you really think I'm lying, that you're only choosing the hags and the cougars because that's all you can get, I want you to get on a plane, get you a passport, and go to other countries. Go to other countries and and see what you get in those other countries when they present young women in front of you. I guarantee you, you come back, you won't be hag maxing anymore.